What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Thank you guys for joining us for another installment of Taking It Back. I'm hanging out with Zach Payne of Red Pill 78. Zach, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Adel. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm much better than last week. Last week, I could barely speak. My voice was destroyed. I was coughing constantly. I had this horrible dry cough. Like, it
Wow.
was one of the worst I've ever had. Um, it hit me like 2 Mondays ago. I went to the hookah bar with a buddy of mine and overdid it, and I just started coughing and coughing, got worse and worse over the course of the week, and by end of last week I was an absolute mess, but feeling better now, and glad to be back with you today, buddy.
You fried your alveoli.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. It was brutal. I'm still, even now, like, I still catch myself coughing a little bit, but we're definitely on the other side of it, so
Good.
good. Speaking of being a little under the weather, Frankie Val's not feeling well today. He sent me a text earlier saying he's doing everything he can to hold it together to be able to do his own show later. So if you guys are looking for him, he's not going to be joining us. Hopefully, we'll get him back into the fold next week. But shout out to all of you guys watching across the interwebs. Shout out to the whole Badlands Media fam. You guys tuning in over there on the Badlands Rumble. Be sure to give us a thumbs up. Share the link. Those of you guys watching over on 412, the fam on pill.net, please hit that red pill button and repost the show. Zach, I mean, obviously we have to start with the conviction of Donald Trump, the 34 felony convictions, or however the media is gonna breathlessly say it for the next however long. I mean, oh my God. But what was your reaction? Were you surprised to see it come down? Did you think that he had a chance of a hung jury? Um
So
yeah, go ahead.
I thought up until I read the jury instructions that there was a chance of a hung jury, because normally, in literally every other circumstance, the jury must all determine unanimously that the defendant has committed a crime, and it all has to be the same crime. What Mershon did was give them essentially like a smorgasbord buffet and tell them that they could mix and match whatever they wanted to. And as long as each of them believed that he committed one of the crimes that he presented to them, then he could be found guilty. And so that's exactly what happened. I also think that there's a distinct possibility that the jurors were probably influenced in one way or another. Doesn't surprise me if they are, if they were, rather. So, at the end of the day, no, I was not surprised when he was found guilty. And I mean, this is exactly what they've been going for. I mean, this is like their wet dream, is to say convicted felon, former President Donald Trump. That's what they've been waiting for. And actually, Adel, I've prepared something rather special in preparation for this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
This, I'm a firm believer in the idea that you got to own whatever is being said about you. And Donald Trump has absolutely no problem taking on this role if it means saving America. Now, this is obviously tongue in cheek, but the truth of the matter is that even though they have found him guilty, he's not like officially a convicted felon yet. And that won't really be in place until, let's say, that all of the appeals are used up, and then that's it. That's the end of the day. But even if that happens, I don't think that it hurts his chances at all. It certainly doesn't change him in my mind. I mean, it just proves that the deep state is as desperate as they are.
Let's talk about that, right? Because you have record-breaking fundraising after this. I think over the weekend, like close to 200, if not over 200 million total.
Over
80 plus million from small donors, 30% of which have never donated before. So, I mean, those are huge numbers, Zach. That's massive. You don't see $80 million in small donors to anyone for politics. Usually these people go and kiss the asses of big corporate leaders or special interests or super PACs or whatever the hell they call them, and they get their donations in huge amounts at a time. and those are the people that they end up going to Washington to represent, not the little guy. This is a completely different paradigm with Donald Trump, where he's
Mhm.
actually donating and working, or getting donations and working for the people. And again, 30% never donated before. Zach, that's when you talk about the Great Awakening, when you talk about the normies, when you talk about reaching over to like independents or unaffiliated voters. I mean, that's what it looks like, right? So
It's exactly what it looks like, you know, and even more than that, even if people didn't donate, there's still a huge number of people who simply by virtue of this verdict, they've decided that they must support him. And then for the people who already supported him, you know, we're just supporting him harder. I mean, there's really no other way to look at it. Uh, you have a huge bump for him across all demographics, across all voting blocks, and at the same time, a huge decline for Joe Biden. I mean, they were hoping that they were going to get the bump. They didn't get a bump in fundraising. They didn't get a bump in support from voters. All they've done is ensure that the American people are going to support Donald Trump. They've turned him into a political martyr. And I think that that's exactly what America needed, was to see that symbol of how desperate these people are and the lengths that they're willing to go to. And, you know, for many people, I'm sure many people watching this program, you know, this is just the ultimate extension of what they're willing to do to the American people. Donald Trump was fighting on our behalf. The deep state bureaucratic government that's been destroying this country for so long, they've been doing this exact same stuff to us, to the plebs, to the little people. And now they're doing the exact same thing to one of the most powerful, well recognized, and popular people in the nation, if not the world.
yeah, no, absolutely. I can't remember the guy's name. He's an influencer on TikTok. He put out like this 5-minute video. I won't play it because I'm sure you've seen it already. He's a black guy sitting in his car, and he was talking about this whole situation, and he says Donald Trump is getting the people treatment.
Yep.
It was so not profound, because I think you and I already see him as someone outside of the system, but there was a lot of people out there, I think, that still saw him as like another politician,
Yeah.
even through the first presidency. You had the whole resist movement, which is kind of ironic considering like, like they're resisting alongside every major corporation, big pharma company, media conglomerate, financial institution, whatever. You can't, after this conviction, and you see how this played out, you can't tell yourself this fairy tale that Donald Trump is another cog in this
Yeah.
machine, right? So I think it's really awakened a lot of people to that, and I think it's bringing back some of the nihilistic or pessimistic people that would support Donald Trump, but look at the system as rigged, right? So it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I like Donald Trump, but I'm not voting. What's the point? It's all rigged. I feel like they're going to come back into the field here a little bit out of spite.
I certainly hope they do, because I feel like it's a pretty low IQ move to just take yourself out of the system. I mean, you have no right to bitch about the system if you're not taking part in trying to at least make it move forward, to make it better, because otherwise, you know, you're just bitching. I mean, it's like somebody who sits around, they know that they're overweight, their health is not good, their heart is failing, and they're sitting there with a bucket of chicken, just eating chicken legs, and they're like, God, I wish I could do something, or I wish that something would happen and I would get healthy again. Like, okay, well, you know, you've got all the tools that you need right there. It is necessary for the American people to rally around Donald Trump, because I guarantee you they're going to try to steal it again in November. And we have to have an overwhelming show of force. The American people need to be confident in the fact that they've supported Donald Trump and that no one has supported Joe Biden. You know, certainly the talking heads, DC media, those people, they're going to vote Joe Biden just because they won't vote Donald Trump. They're the ones who've had this wet dream about convicting him. Those people need to be the only ones, so that if or when they show up on election night and drop 10 bajillion votes and say, oh, look at this, Joe Biden, the second most popular candidate next to himself in American history, every single person is going to say, No way. We're not going to stand for it. I just don't think that it's going to fly this time around because it's so obvious that he does not have any support. It was clear the first time, but people were asleep. If you're sleeping after what they've now done publicly to Donald Trump, then like you're probably in a coma.
Yeah, no, it was obvious the first time, unless you're really impressed by all the circles at his speech or the line of Jeeps at his rallies, or his ability to broadcast from his basement. It was really obvious there was absolutely no momentum behind his campaign the first time, and this time it will be even more obvious. And I want to get back to the election security thing in a minute, but I was watching a clip, or we played a clip yesterday. Rich Barris on with Jack Posobiec on his show, and Rich Barris said that the Democrats got a bigger bump in the polls from the Access Hollywood grab 'em by the pussy tape than they did from this conviction. Like this was less effective than that, which is, I mean, I think that tells you a lot of what you need to know. And you remember the hair on fire like reaction to that in the media. It ultimately had no effect on the election whatsoever. And they got less of a bump from this. In fact, I don't even know if you could call it a bump. If anything, Donald Trump was the one that, yeah.
Nothing. No measurable increase in Joe Biden support.
Yeah. And you could kind of see like the plan, and it's already failing, but similar to like how they use COVID, Donald Trump was doing really well. COVID hit, and then they started, I think, oversampling the polls right around the COVID and using COVID as the reason, right? So COVID happened, they start kind of doing their rigged polling, and then they use the rigged polling to convince you that the election was legit. When they're telling you, Joe Biden's going to win Wisconsin by 14 points, and he's up in Florida, and all the they used. I feel like the convicted felon moniker was going to be their when they started like kind of shifting the polling to Joe Biden artificially to then sell us on the idea that he could win this election. But even that doesn't seem
They
to
can't.
Yeah.
They'd simply, it's impossible for them. I mean, you look at this is why I love looking at the polls, because I know that they're oversampling for Democrats. I know that they're trying to produce a suppression effect, and they're simply unable to make it happen. Like Donald Trump is leading in every single swing state. Donald Trump is leading with Black Americans. Donald Trump is leading with Hispanic Americans. Donald Trump is leading with, everybody all across the board. All of these voting blocks that they thought were safe bets that they were just going to be able to rely on, that old standard that they could go back to. And then they can oversample within certain groups, and they can show that it's neck and neck. It's not neck and neck now. It's not neck and neck anywhere. And they can't fake that it's neck and neck. Yeah.
Do you think that Donald Trump wants to do jail time? Like, do you think he wants that moment behind bars? I mean, like for the imagery, the support it would garner. Like he said, he's fine with it. He said he's willing to do it. Do you think there's some part of him that's kind of hoping that Judge Merchan's going to cross that line and try to throw him in jail?
I do. I absolutely do, because it would be probably one of the most memeable moments in history. I mean, he would very quickly turn it into a marketing powerhouse. And he knows how much it would rile up the American people. I mean, the power in that, they hate me so much. They're so scared of me. They had to throw me in jail. I mean, he would just absolutely love it. And he's got no fear about it. And there's nothing for him to fear. I mean, he's not going to go in Gen Pop. I mean, they're going to have him in a private cell. It's going to be like Goodfellas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like he's going to have his like a big area with Secret Service cooking for him and stuff. They're going to be bringing in bottles of wine, all the best ingredients. Oh, we got some lobster tails for you, Mr. President. And he's like, oh, thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy. And meanwhile, and then he's going to be calling out to every single podcaster and show on every conservative outlet, surprisingly, they're treating me very well, but still it's a travesty. They're keeping me locked up because they don't want me talking. And, I've only got 5 minutes. I can only talk for a minute. I think that he would turn it into something that would be very, very usable, and the American people would respond.
Yeah. What do you think his next step is? Just like ask the Supreme Court for emergency injunction here? Do you go through the whole appeals process in New York? Do you expect the appellate court in New York to have a different response to this How do you see this playing out though? Before hopefully the sentencing date, or can it play out before the sentencing date?
I don't know, that's going to depend on the Supreme Court. I mean, they may feel some sense of urgency and go ahead and take it up quickly, but I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to be a positive experience in the appeals court. I think that's going to end up having to be decided by the Supreme Court, and there's no way around that. I think that it's likely that this is going to dominate everything up until the election. And, you know, I can't honestly think of a more powerful message than electing Donald Trump while he's behind bars in New York. I mean, like, can you imagine that? I mean, like while he is in jail, like people are casting their ballots and just, you know, 100%. I'm electing a convicted felon, to use CNN's language. That would just be incredible. I think. I know I don't want Donald Trump to go to prison. But I want everybody out there who has not come out of their slumber yet to recognize just what's at stake here. I mean, like, there is no mistaking this. I mean, they could give two shits about every single one of us. They want us dead. They want Donald Trump to be taken out of consideration, and they were willing to cheat and use every dirty trick in the book to do so. And that's exactly what they've been doing to regular people like us for years. I mean, the government frequently uses their power and their money and just the overwhelming show of force to suppress us and to force us into doing whatever it is they want us to do. And, you know, I see people like Andy McCabe. He just gave an interview yesterday. He's like, oh, you know, the people in the DOJ and the FBI are so afraid that if Donald Trump gets reelected, you know, he's gonna lock us up. Are we gonna have to run to Canada or something like that? You know, I mean, like, you should be fucking scared, okay? Because you guys have broken the law. You have subverted our nation, and you should be scared, frankly. All right. But I don't think that they need to worry in the way that they're talking. Oh, Donald Trump's going to be a dictator. Oh, you better be careful. Donald Trump's going to destroy freedom. Okay, well, so what have you been doing, putz?
It's so absurd. And you can see like they've really chosen their argument here, or their messaging. There's nothing about the economy, like there's nothing about the foreign policy, there's nothing about really anything related to Americans' day-to-day lives in their messaging. It's literally just felon, 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 dictator, 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 bloodbath, bloodbath, bloodbath. Like I was watching the baseball game last night and an anti-Trump commercial came on. That was literally what it is. Like, Donald Trump lost the election, then went crazy. You know, he said that there'd be a bloodbath. He threatens to be a dictator. He told you to inject bleach. He's a felon. This message is by Joe Biden. It's like that's who is that? Who is that convincing? Like, that's messaging that's only, I think, that only resonates with the people that already kind of are watching MSNBC or CNN drooling on themselves.
Exactly.
Like, I don't think that that's sitting with the average independent, reasonably intelligent person that's still maybe undecided. Like, they want to know, what are you going to do to make my life better? And all you're doing is name calling this guy. And if they have any ability to go and look up any of what Donald Trump said in its full context, they're like, oh, this is all this is all lies. Like, he never said any of that stuff the way that they're saying he did. Like, it's
no. What you've got is like Frank Luntz and a bunch of Biden staffers standing around the TV watching that, and they're like, yes, we did it. We really got him this time. We're finally going to stop Trump. But they're not going to stop Trump. Nothing's going to stop Trump. He's fucking inevitable. We're coming
on, baby. He is inevitable, yeah. And they know it. They're scared to death. There are some people worried that, you know, Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis were going to try to use this as an opportunity to get back into into try to be a nominee or a candidate, you know, in the RNC. But the RNC has come out and said, like, one way or another, whether Trump's in prison or, you know, able to attend or virtually or however it is, like, he's our guy. So I don't think that there's any fear there that, you know, the rhino end of the RNC is going to try to pull a fast one here. Do you?
No, not at all. The Trump organization controls the RNC now. Yeah. I mean, Laura Trump, and I think his name's Michael Murphy, if I'm not mistaken, whoever.
Watley.
Michael Watley.
Or Watley, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, they're in charge. And yeah, I think that they're stacked with Trump loyalists now. This is the major difference from like 2016 and 2020. Trump has surrounded himself at this point with loyalists, with people who will ride or die, 100%. And so, you don't have to worry about those people turning on him or stabbing him in the back. I mean, like, everybody knows, like, it's inevitable. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, you look at what's happened to the country since Donald Trump had the election stolen from him in 2020. What's at stake here in 2024? I mean, the country is almost crumbling before our very eyes. All right. Gets worse and worse and worse by the day. And it's the fault of one man and a puppet administration that are taking their walking orders, likely from Barack Obama and a whole host of globalist sympathizers that seek to destroy America. This country will not survive in anything close to this current incarnation if we do not bring Trump back and then use that 4-year period to gut that pig.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I mean, and this next administration needs to literally like be paradigm shifting, like completely change the trajectory of everything, and something that can be sustained beyond Donald Trump. So many fundamental aspects of our institutions need to be uprooted. The bureaucracy does need to be gutted. You need to deal with the Federal Reserve one way or another. Things like the FDA, the ATF, the entire system, the whole intelligence community needs audited and brought to heel. Like, there's just too many rogue elements right now, and Donald Trump is probably the only man on the planet that could come in and in 4 years potentially do enough to set up somebody else for success beyond his presidency.
Yeah,
man, it'll be a crazy 4 years if he's able to do that. Who's your front runner for VP right now, Zach, in the administration? It seems like he's getting close to picking somebody. What are your thoughts on that?
I honestly, I want Michael Flynn. I think that it has to be somebody that the deep state is deathly afraid of. And I can't think of anybody that they're more afraid of than Michael Flynn. Yeah. And, I mean, he's got a military mind. He knows how the government works. He would be a great man to have at Trump's side. I think he would be, stellar in a number of different positions. But I can truly see him in that capacity, because then, I mean, he could kind of run the White House, from like a staffing perspective, and make sure that there's nobody around Trump that's going to, try to usurp him or get in there and slide around. It baffles me when people are still like, I don't trust Flynn. Okay, well, Linwood and all those dipshits said that he was going to run for president. Didn't happen. Still not going to happen. Donald Trump is the candidate. All they've done is support each other. And I guarantee you that Donald Trump is going to have him in his administration in one form or another. So, well, it remains to be seen.
It's, in my opinion, this is the most consequential and important VP choice in my lifetime, ever, right? And not just because of the support or what tasks they may be able to take on as vice president, but this person is going to be elevated to a front runner for the next, to succeed Donald Trump. So, like, if you see people talk about like Tim Scott or someone like that, like, I don't want some fucking mediocre vanilla senator to come in there and then think that they're the next in line to run for president, and just put us right back where we are, some neocon like Marco Rubio or something like that. Like, that's the last thing in the world I want. Like, could you imagine Mike Flynn or General Flynn like running for president in 2028? Like,
I can
definitely. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what you want. You want to set up someone like that. I see people floating around JD Vance. I mean, as far as senators go, I guess he'd be one of the better ones you could choose. Although, I don't know if I trust him completely either.
I mean, I think that I think that JD Vance has come around, and he is a Trump loyalist now. But we take him out of the Senate, we lose that seat. Okay, then you got to have a special election. Then you have like this situation where, you might have an unknown quantity coming in. But what I especially do not want is any of those like normie Republicans that have been bandied about. Those are the people that they want next to Trump, because those are people who may potentially be controllable in one form or another. They would be known quantities to the deep state if and when they succeed after Trump. What we need is somebody who is not in government, somebody who understands how Washington, D.C. works, and who has nothing to lose by coming in and hoisting that squealing pig up to the middle of that bloody barn and slitting its neck. Okay. And I think Michael Flynn is that guy. And somebody had asked if he had endorsed Trump. Yes, he endorsed Trump long ago. I mean, he's said on many occasions, we have to bring Trump back, and recently too. Michael Flynn is not a politician, though. And, I mean, how many times have people said military is the only way? Well, how did Michael Flynn make his career? How did he serve America? In the military? Okay. And then also in intelligence, at defense intelligence. Okay. What is the biggest danger to the American people? Probably the intelligence community. All right. So you've got a man who straddled both worlds right there. Okay. Lived his life, giving his life, putting it on the line for America to keep it safe. Okay. And then at the end of his career was brought in because they thought that they could control him. Okay. They thought, hey, he's not going to blow his pension. I mean, he's just going to do what we want him to do. We think he's a Democrat and means he's just like us. Well, surprise, surprise. Michael Flynn came in and started shaking up that apple cart. So they had to get rid of him. And then there's a reason why he was the very first person in Trump's administration that Obama went after. He's the only person Obama told him not to hire. I mean, anybody who thinks that you have misgivings about Michael Flynn, justify those two things to me, please. Okay. It's like people who still say, oh, Donald Trump's he's a sleeper for the deep state. He's just going to do everything that they want him to do. Okay. Well, if that was the case, then why don't they stop trying to stop him? Okay. Because it's so clear that the American people want him. It would be so much easier for him to just, say, oh, yeah, sure, I'm going to do everything that you want me to do. And, and then he gets in there and he doesn't do anything at all. I mean, like, think about everything that he accomplished in his first term and how much adversity there was, how much pushback, the resistance coming after him the whole time, trying to stop everything that he did. Now, what's happened in the 4 years he's been gone? Virtually the entirety of America has now come on board with all of the plans that he wanted to get implemented in the first 4 years that they literally stopped him from being able to accomplish. Now the American people want a wall. Now the American people want all of the illegals to be deported. Now the American people want their country to be safe and secure. Now the American people don't want trans in the military. Now the American people don't want trans or boys competing against girls in sports. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. All right. Now the American people are demanding crypto and gold and some sort of currency that's backed by true value. Okay. Yeah. We have a mandate now. Donald Trump knows exactly what has to be done. It's just really too bad that we had to get it through this method. People had to be convinced. They had to recognize what it was that could be lost if they did not get on board, if they didn't recognize just how corrupt this whole thing is. Donald Trump is the only person who's in politics right now that I am 100% certain has the back of the American people. All right. I think there's a lot of people circling him that would love to be part of what he's got because he's got power, because he's got the love of the American people. That doesn't mean that I trust them implicitly. I trust Donald Trump and that's it. All right. I got my faith in God and I'm trusting Donald Trump to do what God put him here to do.
Right on, man. Well said. Well said. It's almost like there was some back channel that came and told us, almost 4 years ago that, this had to be this way. People had to be shown. They had to people need to be pushed to the precipice. I think there's a lot of truth to that, and I think you're seeing it happen very slowly. I don't want to say slowly. I mean, we're right in the middle of a great awakening here. You can see the momentum shifting when you look at the inroads Donald Trump is making with Hispanics, Black people, people under 35 years old. These are demographics that Republicans had never been able to reach. message effectively to.
They didn't even bother to try. They
Yeah,
were just like, ah, Democrats got those. We're not gonna.
yeah. He's within the margin of error in New Jersey right now, Zach. He's single digits in New York. I mean, you talk about a great awakening. It's happening right in front of our very eyes. So I love to see it. Now, of course, there's always, the specter of voter fraud. I think that's probably the biggest thing people worry about is the rigging of the election, and election security, election integrity is always a big issue, especially since 2020 specifically. Donald Trump posted this, and I thought this was interesting. It says, today we launched Swamp the Vote USA. Whether you vote absentee, by mail, early in person, or on election day, we will secure your vote. Just vote. They're all good options. The way to win is to swamp them with votes. Go to swampthevoteusa.com to request your ballot or pledge to vote early in person today. So this is interesting to me because of this right here, where he says, we will secure your vote. We will secure your vote. So I wonder if that's, the RNC and their voter, their election integrity lawyers or their election lawyers actually going to be in place to mitigate fraud, the poll watchers, the precinct strategy, things like that. You're talking about some Space Force team that's going to be monitoring the electronic side of things, foreign countries trying to hack in and mess with the machines. Like, how do you interpret that when he says we will secure your vote? Because I feel like that's such a broad statement that can mean a lot of different things, because we saw so many different ways that these things kind of slip through our fingers over the past 3 election cycles, Zach.
I think that it is it's a sort of plan from the Trump perspective to secure foreknowledge of votes that will be guaranteed for our side. In the same way that they have Eric, the Democrats have Eric, they know, like, who's registered, what's coming through, what votes can they inject into the system at the 11th hour, that sort of thing. This makes sure that anybody who can vote early, if they're paying attention, then they're going to go ahead and do so, or they're going to make the pledge to vote for Trump. As soon as they get your name and your number, representatives from Swamp the Vote are probably going to do everything in their power to make sure that you cast that ballot, and that you cast that ballot for Donald Trump. And then they go ahead and make sure that that's the case. And I would imagine there's probably going to be some sort of election integrity aspect to it, where perhaps, if it turns out that people's votes are, stolen, or they're used in some additional way, maybe there'll be some extra tracking that's available to it.
Yeah. Okay. I thought that was super interesting. So I hope that they have all kind of different things in place to mitigate, because they're going to try to cheat like hell in this election, but man, it's gonna be a lot harder for them this time around. I'm very confident that just the protections that'll be in place will be far more robust and proactive rather than reactive. In 2020, we were so reactive to it. Especially, like, I look at Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was a great example because they overnight, I think they dropped like 300, 400,000 votes at 4 a.m. And they were counting votes for 2 days before any election lawyers got there and even tried to put an injunction on it. And by the time they did, the damage had already been done. I mean, we lost the Senate seat, we lost not a Senate seat, we lost obviously the presidency and a couple House seats in that election that never should have been lost because of the way that all went down. So hopefully there'll be people on the ground ready, not willing to leave when they try to kick them out or whatever. It should be a lot tighter of an operation this time around. So yeah. I look forward to seeing that battle come November.
Hold on, I have a question for Bly Onyx 68, who says, Trump said read Kellogg's book, which has it right. Have you read that book, Red Pill? I'm a subscriber of yours, but disagree with you here. I'm not certain what you disagree with me about. So National Security Advisor Keith Kellogg, so I don't know. I guess I need a little bit more information about what you disagree with me on. I'm not discounting the fact that Keith Kellogg did good work in the White House, or that there wouldn't be a place for him in the second administration. But yeah, I mean, that's So anyways, I need more information.
Yeah, I haven't read Kellogg's book, so I don't know.
Observer 777, you can fuck off.
What is
I'm here every Thursday, bitch. Show up and thumbs down. Go for it.
yeah. I didn't even see what they said.
He just said Zach is here, so the chat gets a thumbs down. I don't know. I don't know why he hates me. He always he doesn't show up in the chat anymore because I blocked him because I just got tired of his bullshit.
Well, we're our thumbs up to thumb down ratio is pretty good over there, so I'll take it. Well, thanks for showing up and for adding to the viewership, Observer 777. We appreciate your interaction, buddy. All right. Well, let's we do have a couple sponsors here. Let's take care of those, and then we'll come back and get into some more discussion. First sponsor today is Goldco. Are you concerned about the $6 trillion at stake in the upcoming 2024 election? The Wall Street Journal has reported a critical issue, the looming decision on extending tax cuts scheduled to expire after 2025. Republicans advocate for extending Trump's tax cuts while the Democrats lean towards letting them expire and increasing taxes on top earners and corporations, potentially creating a massive $6 trillion gap. But fear not, there's a way to protect yourself from this impending threat. Join the thousands of hardworking Americans who are taking proactive steps to safeguard their savings. Visit badlandsgold.com to claim your free 2024 gold and silver kit and fortify everything you've worked for. You may even qualify for up to 10% back in bonus silver, but hurry, supplies are limited. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Act now to diversify and shield your savings against the uncertainties ahead. Get your free 2024 gold and silver kit today at badlandsgold.com and take control of your financial destiny. And we also have a message from the Badlands shop. Have any plans after the show? How about heading over to the Badlands shop where you'll find Patriot companies with Patriot values. Put your money where your morals are and shop with peace of mind while supporting your favorite Badlanders. Whether you're shopping for everyday household items or a unique gift for that for that special someone, skip the big box store, check out the Badlands shop and support Patriot businesses and Badlands Media with every purchase. Find unique items for your home and garden, stock up on food, kids' activities, pet supplies, and even plan your financial future. You'll find just about everything, and we're adding more every day. Thank you for supporting companies that support Badlands. We couldn't do this without you. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/shop today. All right. Again, always a big thank you to those of you supporting our sponsors. And again, if you're watching on Badlands Rumble page right now, please hit that thumbs up button for us. That is very important. And share the link. Those of you watching on Pill, give us that repost, hit that red pill button, share that link as well. And again, thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out with us on this Taking It Back. So in desperation to win some voters back on what most people are saying is the most important issue, even more important than the economy, which is crazy because typically the economy is always the most important issue, but is border security. The crisis at the border has been a major, major, major problem for the Biden administration and Biden's hopes at re-election, to the point now where he signed an executive order, Zach, or he's thinking about signing it or has signed it, I don't even know, where he's going to limit asylum at the border to 2,500 people a day, supposedly. Clearly, and I think Donald Trump called this out himself, I think this is just to give him some kind of defense during the debates coming up, this, act like he's doing something. But this is a pure act of desperation. This is after saying that there was nothing he could do for how many years. Now all of a sudden he finds his pen and can sign an executive order. The American people have to see right through this, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is desperate pandering because the weakest issue for Joe Biden is the border, and it's the one that has touched the most people all throughout the country. I mean, a lot of things stem from it. I mean, drugs, the economy. I mean, obviously, housing crisis. You got people coming in. Various governments around the country are unable to provide for the basic needs of their citizens because they're spending all of their money on these illegals. And it's a huge deal. And yes, he did not need additional powers from Congress months and months and months ago when he said he had to have that to act. Okay. I mean, like, he could have shut down the border at any time. And even this, he's not actually shutting down the border. I mean, nothing's changing. I mean, all of the unaccompanied minors, they don't count. all of the flights that they're paying for to bring people in to here to Florida and then to Texas and stuff like that, that doesn't count. I mean, this is only 2,500 people who have like physical contact with like border security agents. On top of that, you've got, I don't even know how many thousands make it through every single day without even talking to somebody. So it's done nothing. It will do nothing. It's ceremonial and it's a big fake.
It's so fake. And again, why? Like what's with the 2,500 number? Like they have like they did this.
Magic number.
Well, they had this with the one in the Senate too, where it was like at what was it 5,000 or 10,000 or 15,000? What was that one? Do you remember what it was? But it's the same kind of idea where it's like we'll open it for a certain amount of people every day. It's like
It
how much
shouldn't be open to anybody.
exactly?
And and here's the other thing too, Adel. If you come through illegally and you don't make contact with somebody, in order to get asylum, all you got to do is just turn around and go back to an official point of entry from the other side and say, hey, guess what? I came here illegally. I want that asylum Biden was talking about. And boom, that doesn't count either. So everybody gets in for free. Everybody gets asylum. There is no such thing as a border. There is no such thing as law and order. Joe Biden is, he's pandering. That's it.
Yeah, it's such a pander job. And I look forward to seeing how Donald Trump handles that in the debate, when Joe Biden tries to flex this executive order. There's so many ways he could do it, whether it's bring up the fact that he waited this long to do something like that after claiming he couldn't, just bringing up the weakness of the executive order itself. There's so many ways he can kind of go after and attack this, but I feel like this is still a very crucial issue and one Donald Trump needs to absolutely capitalize on as much as possible over the next few months. So
I'm sure he will. I mean, Joe Biden's going to be a mess in the debates. Mess. I mean, and that's if they have multiples. I don't know. I can totally see one of them happening, him being so spectacularly bad. And then, he's like, I'm not going to give him the time of day. I'm not going to do any more debates. But I mean, it's going to be wall to wall coverage. I mean, already right now, you've got so many different talking heads and media outlets coming forward, and they're like, I don't know who the hell this guy is. I mean, his mind is gone. All right. We got people in the White House, Democrats and Republicans, people in Congress, and they're like, Joe Biden is clearly failing. Like his mind is falling apart. He's got Alzheimer's. Like the guy is done. Dunzo.
Yeah, he's an absolute shell of a human. It's absolute elder abuse what they're doing. I don't know if you saw the video earlier today. It looked like he was bending over and crapping his pants in Normandy today. Did you see that?
I did, yes.
I mean, it's a very embarrassing look for our country right now. This guy needs to go. All right, let's well, you got the Hunter Biden situation going on too right now, for his trial. I'm surprised we're not hearing more from the media. At least I haven't seen much from the media being like, oh, look, they're prosecuting Hunter. It's not a two-tier justice system, which only because their plea deal, their fake plea deal fell apart and got exposed, really. But you have that going on. They introduced the laptop as evidence once and for all. I think if there was ever any doubt that it was legitimate, it's it's legitimate now. The Hunter Biden laptop, because that's been officially introduced as evidence. What do you think? Do you think Joe Biden will end up pardoning Hunter? Do you think he'll get sentenced to any real jail time? How do you see that playing out, Zach?
I think that Joe Biden would pardon him if he did get any jail time. But I also find it unlikely that he would get jail time. I think that he would probably just get convicted, and it would be, again, a ceremonial thing. I mean, they're going for the crack cocaine and for the gun charge because it's like the lowest hanging fruit. You think about all of the other crimes that the Bidens have committed. Cumulatively, it's a lot worse than the 17 years that he might face for this gun charge. But he's, he doesn't have like a proper criminal record. I mean, he's not like a career criminal in respect that he's got, all of this long rap sheet. So it would be very, very unusual for the judge to sentence him to any hard time. And so it's likely, I think, that Biden would go ahead and just give him a pardon, get it over with. You know, I mean, I think that he's honestly losing sleep over what's happening with Hunter right now, because not only is it bad for Hunter, but it's also bad for him. I mean, it's bad press, doesn't look good. And, he's consistently said that his son did nothing wrong. Okay, well, that's imploded. Like, he's definitely done things wrong. And now he just got referred by Congress, both him and his brother, for
Yeah.
lying to Congress. I mean, you can't argue those charges. The DOJ has been pretty clear that nobody is above the law. Nobody's above the law, Adel. They just keep saying that. They talk about Donald Trump. Nobody is above the law. Well, except for these guys.
Yeah.
They're above the law.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point too. It's like even if the gun charges don't end up with a conviction or jail time, then there's the perjury charges, which I don't see Merrick Garland actually going forward with them, but it really is exposing again who's part of the system and who's not. And I think people are completely fed up with the system. So anyone that's perceived as part of it, in control of it, benefiting from it, I think is going to be negatively viewed by people right now. Anyone that looks like they're standing up to it on the outside of it, being abused by it, will find a lot of empathy from the people and support from the people right now. And that's
Yeah.
it's interesting to kind of again watch these things shift and people starting to see it for what it really is. And then you have Steve Bannon. I don't know if you saw that today. Steve
Yeah.
Bannon, they revoked his bail.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's so obvious what they're doing there. This guy has probably one of the most popular America First broadcast in the world right now with the War Room, and they want him off the air. They want him off the air during the heat of the election because he's incredibly effective. He's incredibly powerful. He does a great job. I call him a daywalker, Zach, because he's got he's got an independent media style with a mainstream media format. Like if you watch his show, it looks like a studio. The way they bring in guests, the 15 minutes and a commercial break, 15 minutes and a commercial break. Like someone that watches Fox News will feel right at home there. But the way he speaks, the way he has like the long form conversations with guests and things like that are more like on an independent media kind of style. He's incredibly powerful. I feel like he gets a lot of really important messaging out there. I feel like his audience, is very powerful as well. They're trying to silence this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I mean, it
No,
sounds
I
like
think that's exactly it. I mean, he's a powerful voice, and he does have some great guests, and a lot of people listen to Steve Bannon. So by silencing him right before the election, it just takes a piece off the chessboard. I don't think it's going to be successful for them. It's not really going to do anything. It's going to have little effect, but it is going to make Americans more pissed off, and I think more resolute to make sure that they get rid of this guy and his entire crooked administration.
do you think they'll successfully be able to do it? Keep him off the air for the next 4 months? I mean, because
I mean, I know he has to report to jail on what, July 1st or July 11th?
July 1st.
July 1st. Okay. And has he been sentenced? Has been given a time?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so it's just his bail has been revoked and he's going to be in jail until sentencing.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know when the sentencing is. I mean, well, how long do they put Peter Navarro away for? For like 4-5 months or something like that? I mean, he would easily probably.
Days.
What's that?
I think it was only 60 days.
Only 60 days? Okay. All right. So, I mean, likely I would expect him to get basically the exact same sentence as Peter Navarro. So, but I mean, if they really want to keep him off the air, then I think they probably could.
Yeah. That's a shame, man. This country is it's so sad to see what's happening and what they're doing to people to maintain power. You never thought you would see anything like this, but
Yeah.
it is getting to a dark, ugly place. And then not the exact same situation, but they're coming after Alex Jones as well. What's your take on the Alex Jones situation? I guess the feds are trying to liquidate his assets, liquidate his studio to pay off the Sandy Hook people or something. I didn't look too closely into it. Alex Jones is always one of those things that I kind of stay on the fringes of because he's such a clown most of the time. But what's your take on the Alex Jones situation?
Well, I mean, he's in that bankruptcy, and the
Yeah.
Sandy Hook families are trying to liquidate everything. John actually found something the other night, which was like a filing that Alex signed earlier in the year saying that they planned to liquidate his ranch, which I believe is where they do the show from. So if that's the case, and he knew that they were going to come for the ranch, then I feel like it was a bit of a stunt, what he was saying, that they're coming to take it without any warning or anything like that. But I don't know. I haven't followed it very closely either, just because it is, I got so much other stuff I'm worrying about.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens with Mr. 1776 over there. Yeah, man.
All
I
right.
don't.
So people in the chat are saying that Bannon and Navarro both got 4 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was 60 days from Navarre. I don't know where I got 60 days from.
I don't know.
Yeah, so 4 months. I mean, that pretty much take him off the chessboard until after the election. And if they wanted to try to steal it, if they put him in jail, revoke his bail, wait a month or two to, sentence him, 4 months, could pretty much take you right till after the vote is certified. So he couldn't even do his, analysis of it all and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess D. Faulkner is saying that Navarro gets released the third day of the RNC convention. Watch him come and give a powerhouse speech.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
Yeah, I love Peter Navarro. He's great.
Yeah, he is great. Have you ever had him on your show?
No. I mean, I couldn't because he was dealing with the court stuff. And I know people who know him, and I was told that after he gets out, I should be able to. And I definitely will. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, look, we're at 4:53. I don't see the need to bring up anything else at this point. I know you got your show at 5 o'clock. Let everyone know what you're gonna be covering tonight, and go ahead and take a few minutes before you go live.
Oh, I am going to be covering a ton of stuff. World War III watch. President Nayib Bukele gave an incredible interview with Tucker Carlson that really embarrassed the entirety of the Western world, in my opinion. We've got updates on deep state efforts. We'll be talking about Steve Bannon. And of course, we're going to be talking about the Hunter trial and our favorite president, Donald J. Trump. So thank you for having me, as always.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. Appreciate the time, and have a great show.
You too. We'll see you. Peace.
All right. There he goes. Zach Payne of redpill78news.com going live in about 5 minutes over on his channel. You can find him on pill.net, Rumble, sure, a bunch of other places too, but most of you guys, I'm pretty sure, watch him on either Pilled or Rumble. But you can find all those different platforms over at redpill78news.com. My name is Adel Nero. My channel is 412 Productions. My main place to broadcast is the Comfy Bunker over on pill.net. But you could also find our channel on Rumble, DLive, Cloud Hub, Odyssey, on Twitter if you want to follow me on Twitter, and I hope you will. I'm at 412anon87. I'm on Truth Social at 412, so I'd love to earn your follow wherever you'll have me. But yeah, that's going to do it for Taking It Back today. Shout out to Frankie Val again. Hopefully he gets well soon. You can find all things Quite Frankly at quitefrankly.tv. He goes live 7 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. Another amazing show. He's our third amigo here. He like I said, he couldn't join today, but we look forward to getting him back hopefully next week. What do you guys say? The 412 fam, do you guys want to do a little overtime today? Do you guys want to keep hanging out for a little while? Maybe take some calls, play some music or something. I heard there was some kind of town hall. Maybe we'll just watch that if that's out there with Donald Trump. Is that still a thing? Delia brought that up earlier in the week. I don't know if that's still happening or not. But yeah, if you guys want to keep hanging out with me, I'm gonna go exclusively onto my pilled.net channel for a little while. I have no idea for how long, but I figure we could extend the show a bit and hang out. So we'll figure out what we're gonna do here in a little bit. So big thank you to all of you guys on Badlands Media. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, please come over to here. I'll put a link in the chat if you want to hang out. Like I said, I'm gonna stay live for about at least another half hour, maybe a full hour. We'll see. Maybe I'll take some calls. Maybe we'll throw something on and do a watch party. But I just put the link in the chat if you guys want to come follow us over there. Otherwise, I'll put it over on the 412 Productions Rumble as well. We'll put it on 412 Productions D Live. Boom. There you guys go. So if you guys want to come over and keep hanging out, we'll do that. So I'm gonna play the outro to Taking It Back, and then we'll cut out the other platforms, play maybe a song or two, and then we'll jump in and figure out what the hell we're gonna do here for the second half of today, or not the second half, overtime, a little treat on a Thursday afternoon. So we'll be right back. All right, guys, if you want to keep hanging out, come over to pilled.net. Find me at 412 Productions. I put a link in the live chat. I put a link in, there's a link in the Rumble description over on, actually, I don't even know if that's true. Nope, there isn't one. It's in the live chat on both the Badlands and 412 Rumble chats for Taking It Back, or just go to pilled.net in your browser and just search 412 Productions, or find the live thumbnail. They're at the top of the screen on mobile, to the left on desktop. But I hope to see you guys over there. Otherwise, have a great week, and I'll be on tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time for another Deplorable discussions. Come over to Pill, or catch you later.